My name is Emily. I can still recall the sound vividly. Not my father's voice. Not even the ensuing commotion. It was the distinct sound of paper tearing. It felt akin to a body being rent open, like delicate wings being crushed. He, my father John, was standing in my laboratory, his calloused hands mercilessly shredding a decade of my dedicated work. Page after page fluttered down around us like scattered, broken feathers. Years of meticulously documented studies, genetic markers, hereditary patterns, the fragile thread of a blood disorder that had long afflicted our lineage. All of it was summarily tossed into the air like worthless refuse. I stood there, paralyzed. 10 years of my life's devotion annihilated, simply because my grandfather had bequeathed the estate to me instead of to his cherished daughter, my sister Olivia. Olivia has a family to support, he snarled, his voice sharp enough to incise glass. 3 children, Emily. What do you possess? Empty shelves and microscopes. The word struck harder than the destruction itself, as if my intrinsic value could be gauged by uncashed earnings and a vacant dwelling. As if my life's profound undertaking meant nothing when juxtaposed with her polished spouse and flawless family portraits. Yet, within me, beneath the raw ache, I harbored a secret they knew nothing of, a revelation secured within my safe. A letter from my grandfather. He was the man who had truly seen me, who had chosen me, not for antiquated tradition, not for superficial appearances, but for the profound work, for the uncompromising truth. My grandfather had not merely been a shrewd businessman. Irrespective of what the family preferred to believe, he was a scientist in disguise, a geneticist who operated behind boardroom doors, an imperial expansion while quietly pursuing a more profound quest. His entire corporate domain was a clandestine operation, a vessel designed to safeguard and finance research that no one else could be entrusted with, and now it was my sacred duty to continue it. They didn't genuinely care. They demanded my endorsement. They wanted me to transfer everything to Olivia, as if inheritance were merely a trophy bestowed upon the most vociferous claimant. It was at that precise moment that my mother stormed in, Olivia trailing behind her, her smirk spreading like oil across still water. My mother's voice cracked through the sterile confines of the room. This ceases now. You will sign it all over. Be reasonable. Be family. Family. The word churned acridly in my stomach. Family had not stood in this laboratory with me at 3 a.m., hands trembling over a microscope, battling exhaustion to connect fragments of a perplexing mystery. Family had not inquired why I sacrificed my weekends, why I missed holiday celebrations, why the gentle hum of machines became my lullaby. Family had never even set foot into this laboratory until today, when they arrived to strip it bare. Yet, I smiled. For the first time in years, I genuinely smiled. The legal counsel will arrive in an hour, I stated, my voice calm and steady, observing the subtle shifts in their countenances. Grandfather bequeathed me more than just the estate. He left me the truth. When Mr. Davies arrived, his briefcase heavy with legal documents, the atmosphere grew tense. I meticulously arranged my research files alongside my grandfather's. 2 generations of dedicated investigation, spread out between us like a strategic battlefield. The initial test results, DNA reports from the 1980s, his meticulous notes, my contemporary confirmations, and then the silence fractured. My mother's face drained of all color as the intricate puzzle began to assemble itself before her disbelieving eyes. She was not my grandfather's biological daughter. Olivia was not his biological granddaughter. My father's hand trembled against the desk, a potent mix of fury and shame, simmering beneath the surface as decades of meticulously guarded secrets were brutally exposed under the harsh laboratory lights. Olivia staggered back, the mask of arrogance slipping from her like a discarded garment. "You're lying," she spat, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. "No," I whispered, my voice firm. I followed the scientific trail. I completed what grandfather initiated. And I understand why he chose me. Because I wasn't merely another heir. I was his only true descendant by blood. His only rightful successor. The room seemed to collapse around us. My mother crumbled into a chair, appearing suddenly frail and insignificant. My father stared fixedly at the floor, his jaw clenched so tightly I could hear the grinding of his teeth. Olivia's once unshakable confidence shattered, leaving behind only a woman who no longer understood her own identity. And for the first time, I did not shrink under the weight of their judgment. I stood taller. The truth belonged solely to me. That night, after the cacophony of shouting and denial had finally subsided, I sat alone in my grandfather's study. His leather chair creaked softly as I sank into its familiar embrace. The air was redolent with the scent of dust, ancient books, and the faint aroma of pipe tobacco that had permeated the wood. His presence lingered in every page, every handwritten note, every faded photograph. I opened his final letter, the one intended solely for my eyes. "My dearest Emily," it began, "if you are reading this, then everything has unfolded precisely as I had hoped. The truth has been revealed, and though it may inflict wounds, it was absolutely necessary. Our family was constructed upon secrets that could not endure indefinitely. The scientific work is now yours. You are the culmination of 3 generations of relentless pursuit. Do not allow them to reduce its significance to mere money or property. The true inheritance is knowledge." My hands trembled as I traced the words. Tears blurred the ink, but I continued reading. "You weren't merely my granddaughter. You were my continuation. The profound work lives within you because you carry Alexander's mind, his unwavering passion, his very blood. Protect it. Advance it. The world is not yet prepared, but one day it will be. And when that day arrives, it must be you." I remained there for hours, gazing at the photographs carefully tucked into the folder. One depicted him, another showed Alexander. My biological father bent over a microscope. He possessed my eyes, my furrowed brow when concentrating, the same quiet, insatiable hunger for groundbreaking discovery. I had inherited his unfinished sentence, and I was destined to be the definitive punctuation mark at its conclusion. The ensuing weeks blurred into a haze. My mother steadfastly refused to look at me. My father shouted until his voice became hoarse. Olivia returned once, remarkably quieter, devoid of the swagger she had arrived with. "I can't pretend to comprehend any of this," she admitted, shuffling awkwardly in my lab like an unwelcome stranger. "But perhaps, just perhaps, we could collaborate. I understand business. You understand science. Maybe that's how it's truly meant to be." For the very first time in our lives, her words lacked their usual sharpness. They were an earnest offering, and for the first time I genuinely considered accepting her outstretched hand. Not as a rival making demands, but as a sister finally embracing humility. The most profound shock arrived a month later when Mr. Davies returned. He carried one more letter, sealed and awaiting its reveal. My breath hitched as I opened it. It was my grandfather's familiar handwriting again. "Behind my desk is a hidden safe," it read. "Inside, you will discover everything. The missing pieces. Data that may transform medicine forever. With your discoveries, you are ready now." The estate was never the ultimate goal. It was merely the shield. The work is the sword. Carry it forward. I located the safe effortlessly. The combination numbers were indelibly etched into my memory from the letter. The files within made my previous research appear like rudimentary sketches on cocktail napkins. Decades of raw data, intricate charts, preliminary trials. A lifetime's worth of closely guarded secrets, meticulously preserved for me to uncover. My phone vibrated. A message from Olivia. Meeting with the patent lawyers next week. Are you ready for this? I stared at the photograph on my desk. My grandfather Alexander and a microscope. Between them, their shared passion burning through the frozen frame. I saw myself reflected in it, as if I had been standing there all along, waiting patiently. I typed back, "Yes, it's time." Because this endeavor was never about money, never about vast estates. It was about faithfully carrying forward a legacy that others were too fearful to confront. For years, my family had tried to erase me, to diminish my spirit, to confine me to the shadows. Tonight, they witnessed my ascent. And as I opened the very first file, I whispered into the silence of that room, my voice steady, resolute, and utterly unbreakable. This is only the beginning.